As a member of Parliament in Rhineland-Palatinate, people ask me many questions. It makes me happy to know that so many of our constituents are eager to learn about politics in Rhineland-Palatinate. They submit questions to us representatives, and I would like to answer a few of them. For example, the following. Who does the State Parliament of Rhineland-Palatinate represent? The State Parliament of Rhineland-Palatinate represents about 4 million people. Representatives make political decisions on behalf of their voters, which makes the State Parliament one of the central pillars of our representative democracy. Politicians currently meet in the Steinhalle at the State Museum due to renovations at the Deutsch House. The State Parliament's tasks include electing the Prime Minister, as well as confirming and controlling the federal state government, making laws, drawing up the budget, and publicly debating society's diverse interests.
I welcome you all to the first plenary session of the 17th legislative period.
So, what happens in the first session after the state parliamentary elections? After the state parliamentary election, which is held every 5 years, the representatives hold their constitutive session, as always on May 18th. On this day, the representatives elect the President of Parliament, as well as the Prime Minister. They also confirm the ministers of the state government. After the election, the new government fills the empty seats left off the frame. Here we go, the session is starting. First of all, the delegates elect the President of Parliament and 2 Vice Presidents. They vote by a show of hand, or standing up. During the constitutive session of the 17th State Parliament of Rhineland-Palatinate on May 18th, 2016, Social Democrat Hendrik Hering was elected unanimously as new President of Parliament.
Let us do our jobs with sense and sensibility. Thank you very much.
The new Prime Minister is elected by secret ballot. One by one, the representatives take to the voting booth and cast their votes into the ballot box. Once all votes are cast, they are counted. So now the excitement begins.
Votes cast, 101. Votes counted, 101. We have 52 yes votes.
Thereby, the State Parliament confirms Social Democrat Malu Dreyer as Prime Minister of Rhineland-Palatinate for her second consecutive term. What duties does the President of Parliament have? The President of Parliament represents us delegates to the outside world. He or she guarantees the dignity and rights of the State Parliament and provides fair working conditions for all representatives and parliamentary groups, regardless of their party affiliation. The President of Parliament also conducts the plenary sessions. Here it is imperative to act non-partisan, fair and indiscriminately. Supported by his 2 vice presidents, together they constitute the executive board of the State Parliament. I met with the President of Parliament in the plenary hall. In your opinion, what is the significance of the State Parliament of Rhineland-Palatinate?
It is most significant. The most important decisions for Rhineland-Palatinate are made here. The Prime Minister is elected here and we pass the laws. First and foremost, however, it's a place of political debate where socially relevant issues are discussed.
What is the most fun part for you?
I love debating with our citizens, especially students. It's fascinating how keen they are to question things and form their own opinions. Besides the important task of conducting plenary sessions, it's a vital part of my job to talk to our citizens and convey what democracy is about.
How does one become a politician?
By realizing that you actually can change things, that you don't have to accept the status quo. Instead, you can say, I want to change things and I have the means to do so. That's what's required of a politician.
What does the daily routine of a representative look like? My duty is to represent the interests of my constituency. I do so in the plenary sessions and parliamentary groups, as well as in the committees. Once I'm back in my district, I gather their opinions in surveys and personal conversations. I visit local businesses, social societies or clubs to get informed on what matters to them. Often my constituents visit the Parliament to see what a plenary session is like, or discuss politics with me, right here, where it all takes place. How do you become a representative? There are two ways to obtain a seat in State Parliament. Either you win directly in one of the 51 districts. To do so, you need the majority of first votes in your district. Or you can get in through the so-called second vote. Each party is allocated a number of seats according to the votes per party. If you are up high enough on your party's list, you can gather a seat this way. What is a plenary session? The plenary session is where all representatives come together. It is held in the plenary hall, the actual place where political debates and public discourses are held in the State Parliament. All the representatives assemble for 2 or 3 days a month, or roughly 25 days a year for the plenary sessions in Mainz. These sessions are very much in the focus of the public eye. This is not only where bills are passed and the Prime Minister is elected, political debate is front and centre here, and politicians exchange arguments on current topics. Media coverage of those sessions helps to inform the public on the differing positions of the parliamentary groups. Parliamentary groups are groups of representatives with common political goals who belong to the same party. For this legislative period, the parliamentary groups in government are the Social Democrats, the Green Party and the Free Democrats. The parliamentary groups in opposition of the government, the Christian Democrats and the Alternative for Germany, put their focus on publicly criticising and controlling the federal state government. The size of a parliamentary group depends on the number of votes it gathered in the state parliament election. The more votes, the more seats. To get elected as Prime Minister, an absolute majority of at least 51 votes is necessary. So if a faction doesn't have enough seats to get an absolute majority, it enters into a coalition with one or more other factions. This way, they can reach a majority of seats together and accomplish their goals. For the factions to succeed, it is crucial that they pull together and are unified in their actions. By the way, all representatives do not always partake in the sessions at the same time. We perform other tasks at the same time, such as debating with colleagues or members of the state government in the lobby, talking to the media about political positions, or meeting up with visitors to the Parliament. Looking at the whole session as a time-lapse sequence, you will find that all representatives partake in the debate at some point or another. How can I inform myself about the work of the representatives? Representatives make policy decisions on the behalf of their constituents. In order to be transparent, everything that happens in Parliament is documented. I'm going to talk to the person who documents the debates.
This is the shorthand report I just took in the plenary session. So here's the speech, but it's also important to document the shouts and the acclamations from the audience as well.
How do you see the future for shorthand reporting?
Well, shorthand writing is still used, but not taught anymore.
It happens more and more that employees of the administration record the debates and plenary sessions and committees digitally. They make sound recordings and annotate them with their own notes of acclamations or applause.
Yeah, you're welcome to do that.
Thank you. By the way, with all this typing going on, all our documents are exclusively made digitally nowadays and are instantly published on our website. Not only does this lessen the workload for the representatives and the administrative department of Parliament, it also serves to make policy decisions more transparent Anyone who wishes to know exactly what happens in Parliament can read all about it. How can young people learn more about the Parliament?
I'm secretary. I'm chairman.
I'm the president.
It's as easy as it sounds. Students can visit the Parliament and experience for themselves in role play what it's like to be a representative, President of Parliament or Prime Minister. The Students' Parliament is where they can have a real influence on politics. Once a year, students meet in Parliament to make policies. They discuss their agendas and vote on proposals, and their resolutions then go on to be discussed in the expert committees of the real Parliament. For more information on the State Parliament's youth programmes, please visit jugend-im-landtag.rlp.de. A group of students has a question for me today.
If there are so few plenary sessions, what do you do with the remainder of your time?
Plenary sessions are only a small part of parliamentary work. Preparing the content of our proposals in the committees makes up the biggest share of the job. These are expert panels on topics like education, transportation or environment. Right now, we have 15 expert committees. They meet for about 165 sessions a year, demonstrating the importance of those committees. Today, the committees are in session, and this is one of the conference rooms in the office building of the representatives. Committees play an essential role when it comes to creating new legislature. They are the preparatory decision-making bodies. This means they advise the Parliament on whether to pass or oppose a bill. Committees do the groundwork in politics. That's why they're also called the Parliament's workshop. Committees are put together according to the relative strength of each parliamentary group, and the parliamentary groups determine who can join a committee. Thus, the representatives become experts in their field. Committees meet publicly, just like the plenary sessions. There are few exceptions, but generally you can take part as a spectator. Non-partisan experts, for example scientists and union or business representatives, play an important role in the committees. They advise the committee on draft bills and help the representatives to act in the interest of society. Why does the State Parliament meet in a museum? The Parliament operates in many different locations in the state capital of Mainz. Among the most important ones are the Deutsch House, the office building of the representatives, the administrative building in the Isenburg Carré, and the Steinhalle at the State Museum. The State Parliament's headquarters have been located at the Deutsch House since 1951. Since then, more than 1,300 plenary sessions have been held here. Currently, the historical building is being completely renovated for the first time ever. So for now, the State Parliament has moved its headquarters to the Steinhalle at the State Museum. The round shape of the old plenary hall has been restored, but the new Deutsch House will be a modern parliamentary building for both representatives and visitors. Here we are in the old plenary hall. It's quite a construction site.
The building will be gutted completely. We will also alter some structural calculations to incorporate barrier-free access for people with impairments. We're creating an improved infrastructure for the 35,000 visitors each year. As for the representatives, of course, they will benefit from the changes too. They are getting completely new facilities and modern workspaces in the plenary hall. Simply speaking, it will be a state-of-the-art parliamentary building.
So this is the balcony.
Yes, exactly. This is where the Republic of Mainz was declared in 1793. The first experiment in democracy on German territory. To be based in a parliamentary building steeped in history like this one is unique in Germany.
Why is the Constitution celebrated every year on the 18th of May? For the State Parliament of the people of Rhineland-Palatinate, the 18th of May is a special date. On the 18th of May in 1947, a referendum was held and the people confirmed the state constitution and elected the first state parliament. Its first plenary session was held in the city of Koblenz, for the war-torn city of Mainz could not host the parliament. Only the exterior walls of the Deutsch House remained. It was reconstructed in 1950-51 and has been the parliamentary building ever since. The first plenary session here was held on the 18th of May 1951. Ever since then, newly elected state parliaments hold their constitutive sessions on the 18th of May. Constitutional Day is an important date in our history and has often been called the Day of Fortune for democracy in our country. Thank you. Those were a lot of interesting questions. If you want to know more, just stop by on the State Parliament's website, or even better, stop by the Parliament itself and get a feel for the atmosphere.